Good day, everyone. Welcome to Perspectives in Focus, where we highlight the people, industries, ideas, and technology that are making positive strides within society. I'm your host, James Hicks from HicksNewMedia, and today I have Mr. Glen Aspeslagh here. Glen is the president of Ecamm Network, which he co-founded with his brother Ken. The company has a very straightforward goal: to build apps to solve problems. Their strategy for success stems from the mindset that if an app is useful, well designed, and properly maintained, it will sell itself. I wanted to spend some time today talking to Glen about how working so close with family on a daily basis works, and why that has actually helped thrive the company, and how building a community as well around Ecam has been so successful in their success. So sit back, stay tuned, and let's get it going with Glen Aspeslagh. Look at this guy on the camera here. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, Glen Aspeslagh.
Hey James, how's it going?
I'm good. So, well, I've been better, but I'm okay. I'm okay. We talked about that a little behind the scenes, but it's all good, man. Today is a great day. Thank you, sir, again for taking some time to be on the show. Thank you for the community that's coming in to have this conversation with us as well. How are you doing, though? Let me start with that.
I'm doing great.
Good.
Happy Tuesday.
Is it Tuesday already? Taco Tuesday,
it is,
something like that.
And I'm just here all by myself in the Ecam office in North Andover.
Awesome. Awesome. And I know you have a tight timeline today. I don't want you to get in trouble at home. I don't want to be the reason that you get in trouble at home, because I don't want the family coming after me. But I'd be remiss if we didn't start kind of typically how I start, but I do want to put a pivot on it. And I kind of want to set the stage for our discussion, right? Along with what I refer to kind of as your origin story, as the who is Glen Aspeslagh. Can you also respond and address a question that came out from the last Q&A that you and your brother did last week? And that question was this one right here. This guy John didn't know I was going to put him on blast like this, right? The question was, again, about Ecam in and of itself, right? And a lot of the conversation was about improvements, product updates, version 4.0, and things like that. But tell the people first and foremost who Glen Aspeslagh is, and then if you can talk to him about what Ecam Live is.
Oh, well. Yeah, we definitely dive in on those Q&As. We because we do it every month, and we're just kind of like, welcome, let's just start pounding through these questions. Yeah. But so new to Ecam, the company, or Ecam Live? What do you think, John?
Honestly, if you could do a little bit of both, right? Because just to kind of set context and set to kind of the conversation, what is Ecam Network, and then Ecam Live in and of itself as being the product out there?
Yeah, well, Ecam is, for the first, I would say, 15 years, literally was just Ken and me sitting at our Macs writing apps and putting them online. So when in your intro, when you said, we build apps and we sell them, that's really what our business has always been. Just selling stuff without any special business plan or strategy or angle. Really just like, hey, let's build Mac apps and put them online and see who wants them. So Ecam Network, I feel like the premise was we just kind of need a home for all these apps that we're creating, because they didn't always have a theme so much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't really know where the network part of it came from, other than we were just kind of we wanted when we did the original webpage, we kind of wanted it to be like a hub for all the things that we did, and make it maybe kind of sound a little bigger than it was. It's a network, but that kind of came from the very beginning.
Now, which original webpage? Now, and the reason that I asked
You did,
that, I did
you did
go
your
to the way
homework.
back. Listen, hold on, folks. Let's go ahead and get it going because I did go
Oh,
way
it's
back.
awesome. That
And
is 100% my handiwork.
that's it right there. Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at the original
That is,
ecam.com website.
I want to say that is probably the original. So this is Wayback Machine,
Yeah.
archive.org. Yeah, this is the original, real deal. First gen animated GIFs in there.
Man, look at a little nostalgia. Look at it in his eyes, ladies and gentlemen. This is flashing back.
I'm just admiring my handiwork.
The old school
It's
Palm apps there and the the Trek sounds and all of that. Talk a little bit about that again for folks. Let's set some context, right? We know today what Ecam Live and Ecam Network is, but this is kind of really where you
right.
guys got started here.
Right. So go back to a time when there were no iPhones. Clearly the web was a thing. So this would have been like 1990. No wait. Yeah. Probably like 1998, 99.
Yes.
We started doing this stuff, and it was like, so no iPhones, but there were these cool Palm Pilot devices, which you see in the top corner there. It's like the screen is like pea soup green with the gray, like a couple shades of gray going on. And the Mac, the Palm Pilot was kind of born out of these a bunch of people from Apple. So like the coding was the same. You use Code Warrior, and they had like a resource fork and a data fork. It was very similar to the old school Mac programming, and it was also like really easy to program. Like it was basic C, so a good starting point to kind of learn how to do this kind of stuff. And the origin story is kind of like I just wrote my first app, which was shareware. There's a term you haven't heard in a long time.
It's back in the Napster days, man. Okay,
So
you're
like
flashing back too.
shareware, if you would download it for free, but if you used it, you could send the person a check in the mail if you wanted to, like, I guess the modern day equivalent of buy me a coffee.
Yeah.
And but then this genius came along, Kenny West, I think was his name. I want to
Okay.
say he was based in Texas, and he started PalmPilotGear.com. It was probably PilotGear.com, then PalmPilotGear.com, then PalmGear.com, because they kept changing the damn name. But the idea was really ahead of its time. You could buy apps on his app store. He took 20%, and the developer got the 80%, and the person could download the app. It was sheer genius, and so I did this dumb little astronomy calculator that basically did nothing other than tell you the position of the stars. Didn't show you the stars. It just gave you like a number basically that you and I put it on PalmPilotGear.com, and people just started buying it like all over the world, and I started getting feature requests like, I live in this weird time zone in Australia that's not in your list. Can you add that? Can you do this? And it just kind of became addictive. We just started adding apps, and just, you can see in the list there. Yeah, we had it. This is like, yeah, they're all Palm Pilot apps at that point.
Trek Sounds, IR Mail, Fast App, Trekkie, things of that, and then your TI-82 calculator video poker app, right? Let's talk about that. How back in the old days too, huh?
We had a video poker app?
Yes. So listen, I know my research. I know the aspect.
Maybe Ken did do like a poker app for the TI-81 calculator.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So that was great too. It's a shame that we don't have that anymore.
You can bring some of this stuff back. We need to go ahead and and relive
kind of
some of these old things that were back in the day.
Like
man.
the app would get deleted if the batteries ran out on the calculator. But yeah, but anyway, the biggest Palm Pilot success we had was the Trek Sounds, which was our first foray into like a kind of a hacky type app.
Yeah.
Where it was kind of based around reverse engineering. So it just added little sound effects to your Palm Pilot, which was great. Then we got a letter from Viacom saying you can't do anything with Star Trek.
Little cease and desist there.
Oh yeah, one of many that went on our wall. So we changed it to tech sounds instead of Trek sounds. But,
that is
yeah,
crazy.
so from there we just did the Mac apps that were basically all that kind of hack, where we kind of like, do a little reverse engineering into the operating system and do something, use our sort of our low level coding skills to solve a problem that was tricky to solve. You really had to kind of know the inner workings of the operating system to solve these problems. And then the upside to that was we didn't really have any competitors, because nobody could, like, literally nobody else could figure out how to do it.
Right.
So well, that was just so fun seeing that website. That brought back a lot of memories.
I'll take a screenshot. I'll take a screenshot and send it to you, man. That's good stuff. When I found that, I was giggling myself when I found that. Let's flash forward quite a bit to live streaming capability and live streaming functionality. Ecam Live, the platform, the tool, came about really as an answer to Facebook live streaming functionality.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Talk to us about the inception of that. Why you felt the need to bring a tool or another tool or a Mac only tool, right, to allow live streaming capability when Facebook was starting to get more prevalent with their live streaming functionality.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like, one of the things I think that's most important about creating apps or having a company that creates apps is like picking what app to do, right? I mean, like, you could, because it's a really big time investment to create an app. So we always would have all these like app ideas sent our way just constantly, and choosing what to work on, I think, is just so important. Like the criteria, can it be productized? Like, will people see value in it? Will it be easy to maintain? Can we support it? Like, what if you create an app that just is a customer support nightmare? So we kind of always had an eye out for things to work on, and this opportunity came along to do a live streaming tool that fell in to kind of a slot where there's no we didn't feel like there was an equivalent. It wasn't out there. I think at the time there was OBS kicking around, which was just a garbage nightmare.
Just go and say it. Yeah, nightmare, brother. I'll say it for you if you don't want to say it.
That was kind of like a recurring trend with like when we would see, like, when, say, we had one of our old Mac apps and like we find a competitor app online, like, like, what's this going to be like? And we'd double click it and we'd be like, oh, this
hold
is
your breath
terrible.
in case see if it works or not. Yeah.
And OBS kind of had that vibe of like not really being good. And I mean, it works. I mean, it's a de facto tool that everyone uses. I mean, we can make fun of it all we want, but it's popular.
It's still out there doing its thing, but yeah, we can do
free,
better.
So it's free. So the question was like, can something come in that has enough value that people will actually want to pay money for it? Like, can we do this and can we do it right? And then there was also the higher end, right? Like Wirecast, I think I don't know, you don't hear much about Wirecast these days, but because they're not really working on it that much, I don't think. But I mean, that was kind of thought of as like the high end, like anyone doing real live streaming would use Wirecast. And that at the time was considered very expensive, right? It was like probably like $1,000 or something for that. So coming in the middle, and traditionally all of our products have always been affordable, like to the point where we would get a lot of complaints that our products didn't cost enough, which is like a really awkward situation to be in. But like, that's one of the biggest things we would hear when we went out to like a trade show or like an expo or something. Like, why aren't you guys charging enough for your products? Like, why is it $8 or $10?
Yeah.
And so we're in that kind of zone of like, okay, it's going to cost money, but it's going to be affordable and not prohibitive to do. So that's kind of like how we had that idea.
That's almost a paradox when you start thinking about the world of Apple and world of Mac, right? Because again, you always pay a premium, at least for the hardware. And I typically ask that a similar question when I go to a trade show as well. And every time someone has an app that's free or freemium, ad supported, or whatever the case may be, I wonder about their longevity. And I ask, when are you going to start charging for this? But I've never thought about someone saying, you're not charging enough for your
Well, I
application. So
don't know.
that's interesting.
Yeah, I feel like some people just felt like we were not, especially for an app like Ecam Live that does a lot. Like it was. I think it was only. It didn't cost. I mean, it costs more now, now that it's evolved into a more feature rich app. But even when it first came out, people were like, felt that it didn't really. I mean, you kind of set the value of, like, people perceive the value of your offering based on the price.
True.
Right. Like if you went into a steakhouse and there was like an $8 steak on the menu, you'd be like, that sounds
Not sure.
absolutely
Yeah.
disgusting. Like,
Maybe not. I'll save that one for later. Yeah, right. Don't give me that one. Give me the other try tip.
But yeah, who would want that?
Not gonna do it.
But and then we eventually we migrated to the subscription model, which we were opposed to for the longest time, because I mean, let's be honest, who likes a subscription versus like a single payment?
Yeah.
But what that lets us do is just keep going. Like like you said, we won't get into that situation where we can't do it anymore, because we have the recurring revenue, supported by the people that actually use the software, and that's let us do so much more. I think business wise, a fantastic way to run a software company, having that recurring revenue.
Yeah. I mean, that's a phenomenal segue into kind of the highlight of what I wanted to talk about. But I'd be remiss also if I didn't say hello to some of the folks that are in the comments. And, this one stuck out. Anna is already talking about, she's saying your hair is on point. Mine is.
Why, thank you.
Mine is a little low today. I wanted to make sure I was freshly shaved for Mr. Aspeslagh. But shouts out to everyone. We see you in the building too, Victor. We see Miss Jill here. Appreciate you for joining, and everyone else as well. Back to kind of that subscription model and charging for it, and the community that is paying that subscription, and kind of the evolution of that whole aspect, right? The concept of community. Let's talk about that, and how you seem to have really made that a core piece of the overall Ecam story, right? What does community mean to you, and why is it important to have such a thriving, active, relevant community around these software products that you're building?
Oh, I feel like that's something that kind of takes care of itself. If you have a product that is good, like people will feel like they're part of it. Like I don't necessarily feel like there's anything special that to have that community, but nurturing it and making sure that it becomes like visible to all we're really doing is like making sure people know about the online community. I don't feel like there's any special trick to that. I mean, we have I don't know. Like I feel like anything that people like,
Yeah.
they will feel that like they're part of that thing. And then of course we're kind of in that sort of Facebook, YouTube world where you can build these communities where people all over the world can share that.
I would add to that, and I would challenge you on this, right? I think people pay attention to what they pay for, right? And not just in financial pieces, not just in dollars and cents, but actual what we're vested in from a usage perspective, from a what we actually are passionate about. So many people that are probably in the comments, in the chats, listening now, and probably on the replay, rely on Ecam Live, the platform, to do what it is that we do from a content curation perspective. There, look, not just because I'm talking to the co-founder here, folks, but look, there's nothing else better out there on the planet. Done. Period. Right. And for the fact
Thank
that,
you.
right, and for the fact that you've built that platform to be so stable, to be so flexible, to be so extensible, we're going to go out and tell folks who are also wanting to get into content creation, not just traditional Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and things like that. But you've got folks that are also, if there was any blessing of the pandemic, the fact that we actually did, there is no blessing of the pandemic. Shouts out to the guy who tested positive this morning. So that's me. So I'm a little delusional. But was, if there was any blessing of the pandemic, it was that church services were now remotely produced, right, and streamed live. So a lot of churches were using or use, excuse me, are using Ecam Live to produce their services. Just having folks use your platform on a day-to-day basis for either business, personal, professional usage, that's the marketing for you right there. We're helping Katie out by just going out there and saying, drop the rest, use this. Why? Because I use it, and because this is the experiences that I have. That really, that word of mouth marketing, that word of usage, advertising as well, I think is very valuable, and really just goes to show that you and your brother, what you and Ken have done is phenomenal in terms of, even in this short period of time that the platform has been available, because really Ecam Live hasn't been around that long. When you think in the whole evolution, right, of
Yeah.
a software dynamic.
It is pretty new. Yeah, I mean, when I say that about the community, I mean, I'm not saying that like we don't actually like specifically do things to, build community and keep community going. But I feel like the origin of it and that what keeps it so strong has a lot to do with the software. I mean, we do have our marketing team, you know, as like on those communities, interacting with the people that are using the software on a daily basis. And that has been something that we were able to do, when growing the team just from just me and Ken to, and now we have, if you count me and Ken, there's 9 of us total at Ecam. That's something that we've just never been able to do before, which is something that is frankly still feels new to me. The fact that we don't have to do like everything,
Yeah.
like, and that's just opened up this door to have like, like the content on YouTube and Facebook, having like, and then these amazing group of moderators on the Ecam Live community on Facebook just blows my mind every single time, because they're just like this amazing team of moderators that
I was gonna say, shouts out. I must be
really,
doing something good because, Mr. Paul Duncan is here, and I got to pay that guy to show up, and he's here today. Maybe he's just here because of you, but
hi
we got all
Paul.
the winners in here. You bring all the stars out.
But I mean, I think one of the things that makes Ecam as a company unique over the years is like Ken and I are very much like just computer programmers that maybe also have a little bit of a understanding of, hopefully, of how to design and design the software, architect the software properly, but also like understanding what users want out of the product. Like I feel like we maybe have a little bit of that, but we're not by any stretch of the imagination like business people, which is weird. Like usually in a company, in a software company, there's like the business person, right? Like the mover shaker, like, understands finances, understands like, a lot of their job is like getting funding or securing investors, or figuring out like what the org structure of the company should be. Like we are not that at all. like when like the company and but we have in in spite of that, been pretty successful building a software company. I mean, we've been doing it for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And that's just been our, I think we went full time on it in 2007. So yeah,
Okay.
quite some time. And we've had people tell us oh, over the years, it seems like you've been successful, but only kind of in spite of yourself. You just kind of had some lucky apps along the way that people want to buy.
Brother, listen.
And at that point, I would tend to kind of agree with them. But then, after your 10th successful app, it's like, no more, no more imposter syndrome here. I think we found something we're good at and we're sticking with it.
You're not winning if you don't have haters, man. So it's
I
all.
I don't think they were saying it in a hating way, just almost there must be more to that. But like you said in your intro, just the belief that you can create some software for for the Mac user community, have them see the value in it and be able to support it. It goes a long way. We've been bootstrapped. We've never had outside funding or anything like that. It's our finances are very similar to that of a pizza shop.
I don't know. I want to look at these books here now. Let me see what these books look like. No, let me ask you a question, because you touched on something, and I'd also like to go deeper into this. You and Ken, right? Just every day and every team has their good and bad days. It is what it is, and those can get even more exaggerated, I think, when you're working so closely with family members. How do you and Ken maintain to stay out of each other's way? For one, that's one question. And kind of something that you just mentioned earlier, I want to dive into. Are there specific portions of the platform that you work on versus he, right? Are there different code snippets, different functions and features, or what that Glenn, did you work on as opposed to what Ken does?
Yeah, so the first one, that's kind of interesting because we are not like a normal family dynamic at all. For those who may not have figured it out, we're identical twins. We are literally clones of each other, and it's totally abnormal how well we get along and how well we work together. It's like people, they say oh, I wish I could clone myself. I'd get twice as much done. That is actually what's happening. That's actually what's going on.
Wow.
We never, we very rarely have a disagreement about something having to do with Ecam. And when we do, we just circle back a couple times later, the next day or something. And basically whoever cares more, wins out.
Who's ever got it on the top of their list, that Apple Notes sheet that you guys maintain, whoever's looked at that first that day, right, tackles it first.
Yeah, and oddly, we never. Well, I don't know if it's happened. Maybe I don't think it's ever happened that we both are working on the same thing and step on each other's toes. It's just for some reason we do have kind of areas that we both would tend to work on. Ken has a background doing audio video coding. He was working on Media Composer at Avid for several years, doing video editing software. So he would tend to work more on the audio and video pipeline, which is a very important part of the product. But yeah, moving audio and video around, encoding, decoding, audio mix down. That's the kind of thing that he might be more inclined to work on. Where I tend to be more on the user interface side, which is really tedious stuff, but I don't mind doing it. And also more on the sort of higher level design of the product.
Okay.
And then traditionally, I used to do all the website and graphics and anything like that.
You want me to bring back that old website up? You want to take another look at the?
There were other iterations that were also pretty darn cool.
That one was the best, though. Let me tell you something. That right there, that may be the thumbnail for this entire show right here. To be honest with you, that old. I'm still looking at it. It's amazing. It's good stuff.
Why, thank you. That The orange to red gradient is definitely my favorite.
That is good stuff, man. That is good stuff. Let me ask you, and again, I want to be cognizant of time because again, I know you've got things going on this evening, but downtime. Well, and that could be also kind of in conjunction with what you're going to do later on tonight. Downtime when you're away from the laptop screen, right? I know you and Ken kind of have been in performing arts back in your college days. Puppet guys, puppet masters. What's the official word? You did shows,
We
so
really did do a lot of research.
listen. I don't mess around here. Come on, let's get focused, brother. This is what we do. All right. Yes, sir. I definitely make sure that I am well versed in whoever I'm talking to, but I also know that you yourself are pretty involved, and are you still involved with the Friends of Northern Andover Trails organization?
Oh, the Friends in
The
North
Friends
Andover Trail.
organization. Now, you serve as chairman, correct?
Yeah, that's something where one of those things where like you kind of move to a new town and you're looking for some way to get involved in something, and the group needed some. It was like a bunch of people that cared about the trails, but when I walked in and they saw this young guy who knew how to do computers and stuff, they were just like, "Oh, who's this?" That kind of thing. And that was, I guess, 10 years ago. So they put me in charge pretty quickly, and we did and I love computers, as you know,
Yes.
and I love maps, and I love nature. So I spent a lot of time, and I did all the maps for the town trails and everything, and then we did a guidebook and online maps and everything like that. So we had a lot of fun with that. That's the kind of thing I like to do when I'm not computer programming. Is just working on mapping, history, getting out there on the trails, going for walks.
Yeah. See,
Yeah,
and that's something I typically talk about on this channel about work-life balance, stress relief, mental care, right? Staying in tune with oneself, things like that. So, what else do you typically like to do? Again, when you close that laptop off finally for the evening, when you got no support calls coming in, when you don't have people like me calling and saying, "Glenn, come on, let's get on the show, let's do a stream or something." When you're not making the fancy coffee, because I'm just a regular coffee, I can't afford the. I got some fancy coffee, but then maybe
Shishang saying they never put the laptops down. I seen them outside the office.
yeah, I'm trying to make Glenn put the laptop down just for a minute. I'm trying to dig into that just a little bit.
Yeah, it work-life balance. It is a tricky thing, right? I mean, like I do kind of think of myself as a workaholic type person. I mean, like that's just kind of in my nature to work a lot. But you can't just always be coding. Eventually, just get sick of it.
Yeah.
So everything basically that doesn't have to do with coding, other than maybe working on online mapping, is just all completely computer shut. Being outdoors, being in nature, going on hikes, mountain bike rides, road bike rides, just the usual nerdy, not very athletic guy type things to do outside.
Nothing wrong with that, brother. Nothing wrong with that. And so let me bring it into context for folks that are wondering what in the world is James doing, right? I asked about the Friends organization. I asked about some of those other activities, really to highlight the aspect of community that's kind of built into what it is that you do outside of the development activity. So that really has brought itself into your professional life as well, and what has helped blossom the whole Ecam Network community aspect. So bringing it back home there for the folks sitting in the back of the room.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think that a lot of what I do in my town is building community in a big way, because there aren't really like a lot of ways that people can meet other people in these suburban towns where there really isn't like a lot of outside, like the people you're standing next to at your kid's soccer game or something. Like, what are the things that happen in a town? And that kind of fascinates me. Like, how can we get people together? How can we form these communities? And then, 10 years later, most of the people I know in town are through things that I've done, like the trail organization. So it is a nice way to kind of, branch out, meet people that have common interests, and, take a break from the computer. That's for sure.
There you go. It's
But
time
then
for
at the
another
same,
meetup.
but I do feel like at the same time, like a lot of the things that I do, like when you start thinking about, yeah, there are computers involved, like running an organization like that nowadays, you're posting things on Facebook, you're sending email through MailChimp, you're, putting together online calendars. And then, of course, last couple of years meeting on Zoom. And then it's kind of like, yeah, we're always just circling back to the computers and everything that we do.
Well, as long as we stay cognizant and conscious of that need to somehow break away from it, then I think we'll be okay. That instant on, always in the need to know information. There's pros and cons of that. We can go a whole nother 2 hours for that, but I'm not going to let you miss dinner, so we're not going to do that. A couple more questions that I want to get into, and I see some of the comments starting to come in that are leaning towards this. We're going to ask about some of this stuff, folks. Thank you again for the comments. Thank you to the folks that are watching. There's a handful of products that are on the Ecam shelves. Phone view, eyeglasses, call recorder for Skype. That was the very first Ecam product that I purchased from you.
Nice. And thanks for your support.
Back in the day, what was it, $19.99? I don't remember how much it cost, but, and card reader, right?
Yeah.
Besides version 4 of Ecam, are there other software products that you're working on? Don't give any NDA stuff away. I mean, honestly, don't tell us.
There really aren't. I mean, like for the longest time, even when Ecam Live came out, we still sort of fancied ourselves like this multi-app company. Call recorder has just been a perennial favorite since 2006. I want to say that came out. Well, you probably know better than me with all your researching, and then Phone View, which started out as iPhone Drive, and I guess the year the iPhone came out, which would have been 2007.
It was 2007. That was the year that I worked there, and Steve gave us all iPhones that year.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these apps really had legs, and we were maintaining them, adding features, fixing bugs, and we're kind of like in bug fixing mode for Phone View and eyeglasses. Call recorder is pretty much done, and last time we looked at the revenue those were bringing in, it was pretty low. It was, the last couple. And when you stop paying attention to the products, people don't.
No, when was the last time the app was updated? 5 years ago.
Yeah, people notice that. I mean, most computer programs, honestly, they become irrelevant because of technology change. Like you don't need it anymore. It's replaced by something better. But for whatever reason, call recorder for Skype, like even when call recorder literally got a record button, like people were still and are still using that because it just does certain things better. Midori's like RIP call recorder.
That's funny. I had to put that one up there.
Yeah, there were like little things that it does better, but at a certain point you just got to say, like it can be very time consuming to update some of this stuff.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
I would say, and eyeglasses, right? You kind of incorporated some of that functionality into the picture settings for Ecamm Live, correct?
Some of it, yeah. Eyeglasses was a plugin that was initially just kind of like to adjust your eyesight. Remember the camera that was shaped kind of like a cylinder?
Yeah.
Apple, the first eyesight camera.
Yes.
Like adjusting the focus and the brightness and everything, and then we added software effects, and people still use eyeglasses all the time, but it's not something where we're like adding features or something. Like the last update we did was for both call recorder and eyeglasses were just compatibility fixes, which didn't really take that long, but kind of like let people to continue to use the apps, but like really we're, to answer your question, we're really just working on Ecamm Live right now. And it's been that way for probably at least 2 or 3 years of just working on Ecamm Live, which is very new to us.
Okay. Well, and so that leads to this question that I have. Back in 2015, uh, you won Best of Show in Macworld. I
We
believe
sure did.
I was there at that Macworld.
Oh, wait a minute.
Um,
I have, look at this.
that's what. Okay, okay.
Look at
You got the award. Awesome. That's incredibly cool. And I want to ask about the BT1 Bluetooth webcam. Is there still one of those hardware devices
There
around?
must be. There must be a BT1
Come
somewhere. It
on.
probably doesn't work. I mean, we don't have it here.
Oh,
You know what we also won? The gold, what was it called? The Eddie? The Macworld Eddie Award. It was like it looked like an Emmy, like the gold
yeah,
statue.
yeah. For your wireless for the webcam.
We won that for the Printopia software.
Oh
Right,
my
Dory?
God, folks!
Yeah.
This is flashing back here. This you didn't know about this right here. The BT1 and the Printopia. That's right. Ken and Glenn made some hardware back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, the BT1 was neat. It was the world's first and only Bluetooth wireless webcam. And why would you want your webcam to be wireless? I'm not 100% sure.
But you know what?
It was that product actually came about basically because of our work doing stuff like eyeglasses, where we worked with a company that wanted to do this product, but they needed, since Bluetooth webcams aren't a thing, they needed a driver to actually make it work. So Ken spent, I think, a whole summer. He was living in Paris for the summer, and he spent the whole summer basically working on this webcam driver for the BT1. And then meanwhile, they didn't really have any place to sell it. Like they didn't really. So we were like, you know what? We sell things. How about we can put it on our website as an Ecam product? So we did all the Mac software, and we did the selling of it. And then they handled the drop shipping. It was fun, but it was really like the whole experience of doing a hardware product was really stressful to us. Like the idea of coming from a software background where like you could, like, something is wrong with it, you can ship a bug, it could ship a bug fix. And like, there's always been this like this nightmare situation where like the updater is broken and like people can't click update and update their software. Like imagine that just all the time. If there was something wrong with your hardware,
nightmare.
You can't, and you just shipped hardware to like thousands of people, and there's no fix. Like you can work on new firmware that like maybe like works around it or like mitigates the problem, but like if there's some issue like maybe it's heating up, or like maybe when it heats up some component starts to freak out, or there's some static issue, or like it was a really stressful time. I think probably the most stressful thing we ever did.
So the moral, so I guess in short, you're not doing another hardware piece.
We're not. No, we're not. We will gladly work with hardware companies.
We have got the definitive answer right there. Ecam Network will not do any more hardware.
We won't. And it's also like you really need people that understand the process. Like when we worked with Jimmy at Pico, he knew the he knew the hardware process in and out. He was like in China, like at the factory, like getting stuff done. Like totally different world.
That's crazy. But that's pretty cool. That's pretty. Let me ask you this, and then this will appease the folks that are asking questions about the live streaming platform Ecam Live, and I'm being very conscious in terms of saying Ecam Network as the company and Ecam Live as the live streaming platform. And I know you hear from the community all the time about feature requests, and during your most recent Q&A, I believe was on the 5th, you mentioned a handful of updates that are coming out in 4.0, but I'm curious to know what your top 2 or 3 features are that are coming out in 4.0.
I get 2 or 3 to choose from.
You get 2 or 3, man. You gotta. It's like calling. Which one of your children is your favorite, right?
Yeah. I would. I mean, I have to start off with the sort of the redesign of the streaming to allow for multi-streaming. I think it's going to be a fun feature. People want to do like you're going out to YouTube right now. If you wanted to hit up some other platform at the same time. The idea is to kind of approach it Ecam style and make it just super simple and just do exactly what you want it to do without having to, make things complicated. So just like pick this, boom, boom, and you're live. And it's required a lot of work, but it's coming along nicely, and I'm pretty excited about the way it's looking.
Yeah, see, you're looking at it right now. I'm tracking like your eyes, right? Are you looking at?
I was actually just looking at the comments that are coming in from YouTube.
Oh, okay. I thought you're like, look, actually had an environment up before that. I was saying, yeah, this looks pretty good. Wait till you guys get your hands on
I
this.
quit all that. I don't want it like messing with my camera and stuff for the interview that we're doing now. We also are adding like this really cool new switcher window, which I don't think we talked a lot about before, where this just like crushes a whole huge pile of feature requests like all at once, where for multi-camera or even what you're doing now with bringing me in as a guest, the ability to have a window with multiple, with basically all your video inputs. You can make them any size you want, any arrangement you want. You can pop them out into separate windows. You can throw an input up onto a display. You'll be able to send out an input to an NDI monitor. You'll be able to, record an individual input. Just like everything is in there. You flip it around, create, and then another thing that will be in there is the concept of like an input placeholder that we talked about a little on the last Q&A. So like really just rolling everything into this one awesome window where without complicating the app, because like if you don't need any of this stuff and you never opened this window before, you're totally fine. But if you want this extra functionality, it's all there for you, and it's gonna really enable a lot of workflows that haven't been possible before.
Okay.
I can see you trying to think like, oh, how would I use this feature?
I am, but I know I'll find a way. I will find a way.
Yeah, we get a lot of requests from like setups where people have more of like a real studio type setup where they see Ecam Live and they'll be like, oh, like, well, this just replace my whole studio. But if there's one thing missing, like, oh, how do I put, I want each of us on a separate display, like in the control room.
Yeah.
Like there's no way to do that. Or like, you could be recording me as a separate feed for later, like an ISO video recording of just like the raw video of me and the raw video of you. If you want to do editing later, something like that.
So you're going to get rid of my ATEM? Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, like, and then nothing's ever simple, right? Like we get these requests that make things sound so simple, and then you start drilling down, like, oh, what does ISO video really mean? Like, does it, like, what audio is in that video? Like, what if the camera goes away and then comes back? Like, what if, does it have titles? It's just like, what if, and then it comes down to really understanding what people expect it to do. Shishang says, I have like 16 camera inputs, more or less. Will they all fit? Right now, it's a scrolling window, so you probably want to pare that down, though.
That's way too many cameras.
Ecam is running all those cameras. So
kind of machine you running, man? I know I got a Mac Studio here, but let's see, I got 7. So I'm not gonna point fingers at anyone else. The mirror's looking at me too. Let me bring this question up as well, and then I'll have one question final. Ms. Jill is asking, what's the most interesting use case you've seen someone use with Ecam?
Oh my goodness. I think it was probably like peak pandemic, frantic message from someone asking how to do a particular thing. And they explained to me that Seal was interviewing Gary Oldman And they were, and why? Because everyone was just locked down in a pandemic. And then we got like such and such celebrity is just doing a scotch tasting or something like that. And we started realizing like people are using Ecam Live all over the world because they are bored out of their mind. And I thought that was such a cool use case. It's just like people are trapped at home and they just want to interact with the outside world. You know, like how often do you just live stream to YouTube or something, just because you want to like
Connect.
just have that connection that you don't have. And like people started messaging us with these like things like I am like doing this like what the hell was it? It was like a puppet related, you know, it just started getting crazier and crazier as the pandemic went on, of like what was going out on these live streams. And it was just like this sort of cool new world of like doing crazy stuff on Ecam Live.
See, that speaks again back to the premise of the conversation, because I can guarantee you not every other platform that does something similar, we're getting those types of inquiries, right? We, the consumer, we, the user, we, the facilitator of this platform, the ones that are actually out there, you felt comfortable and felt that connection to you, and felt a connection to something bigger than us, that community, to say, you know what, Glenn, can you, I don't know, give us more interview minutes for this particular month, because we want to have these large family gatherings online with our family, or something of that nature, right? But again, that's I guess that relationship that we don't take for granted, that we have that access to someone like you and your brother and the core team of the company.
Well, and the whole team. I mean, Midori's team is just is accessible, and that's the thing we haven't really talked about, is that sort of that feeling of accessibility that we hope continues to you know, go on. Like, you know, we do have a lot more messages coming in than before, but like I certainly hope that feeling of accessibility is still there, where people say like, you know, I am trying to do this particular thing, this new use case. I just need this one little feature, or maybe like, is there a way to do this?
Yeah.
And a lot of the time we can say, you know what, like, I know there's a way, and I know someone on the Ecam Live community on Facebook could help you out here. You know, it's a good feeling to know like that there are experts that will either sell their time or lend their time to help someone else get something working.
That is true. That is true. And just like Katie says, you know, the support team is incredible. I've reached out to them so many times as well. Last question, man. Where'd the name Ecam come from?
Oh man, I knew you were going to ask that.
Come on now.
It's not a very interesting story. I think like it was 1999-ish, and domain names were like the hot commodity.
Yeah.
And I think we were just happy to find something that's 5 letters long and like just add that extra M in there, and that made total sense. I honestly think we just kind of like came up with a short domain that had the camera in there somewhere, because we always did like camera related apps. But yeah, that's where it came from.
See, but still,
it's a nonsense word.
Inquiring minds wanted to know, and I was just curious about that, and I figured no one.
And it kind of stuck. Like we've had to rename a lot of things over the years, but we never renamed Ecam. Awesome. It's just always been there.
Cool. Well, Glenn, listen, you're a long way from video poker, right? You're a long way from Palm Pilot apps. You're a long way from the Rock Foundation, where you were selling rocks to your grade school colleagues. That can be a whole nother hour as well. We can have that conversation one of these days. But and folks probably on the inside know that inside joke that I just brought up right there. Continue the good work, man. Really, what you and your brother are doing are truly, truly remarkable. You've built a community who has bought in, right, to the work that you're doing, what we know what you're doing, and what you know that you've got planned to do, and even what we don't know that you've got planned to do, if that makes sense.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, the community is thriving strong, and we are here for all of the adventures, and we're looking forward to the next releases. And with that, I'll leave it to you if you have anything you want to say in closing, sir.
Uh, this was fun. Thanks for having me on. I don't have any big resounding closing statement. It was just a really fun, well researched time. Reminiscing. I think you could do a whole series on bringing up the first iteration of everyone's website and just dive in. What do you think?
That may be some shorts that I do. I may end up doing some
Yeah,
YouTube shorts, right? What was Ecam's first website? This one. What was yeah, okay.
yeah,
Just
yeah. Go back and just go uh, iteration by iteration. Watch the company grow.
I'll do that. I'm
Yeah,
gonna take
this
I'm gonna
is
take
kind of
it
fun.
from you, man. I'm gonna do it.
I hope we can come back on the show, um, perspectives some other time.
Definitely.
Do it again.
Definitely, man. I appreciate you. Go enjoy your family. Everyone, thank you for joining as well. Thank you for your comments and thank you for your participation. Mr. Aspeslagh, have a great night. And I will talk to you guys soon. We're out.